looks like the Wizards. I thought they were going to win last night. Adam. It was very, very disappointing. Yeah, Kevin Durant comes back home.
Yeah, I didn't see the game, but I did see the score.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there was some Portland somehow upset Phoenix without Damian Lillard or Simons.
That sucked. I came in 10th on the night slate, had tons of Chris Paul, got his minutes right. He shot the ball 4 times.
Yeah, it was.
And then like overtime, he probably would have gotten, or there's a good chance he would have gotten a double-double in overtime. Jeremy Grant just backpedals 3 steps without dribbling.
Oh, that's why you put that on. Okay, I saw your tweet this morning and I was like, oh, I missed that game. And then I'm like, oh, I wonder why Adam said that. Everybody travels. Now I know why you said that. Better context.
Yep.
All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you with one Adam Ship, my money Scherer. As we get ready for a little NBA strategy show, we have one heck of a slate tonight. 7 games in the association. Technically, there's 8, but the early game, Sacramento-Orlando, we will not be covering. But the main slate does have 7 games. Everybody is on a back-to-back with the exception of Atlanta, Denver, Houston, and OKC. So we'll have lots of news and notes here. We have tanking teams winning. We have winning teams apparently tanking. You can't convince me otherwise that Golden State's not tanking the rest of this year. They sat everybody. They lost all 5 games. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games on their East Coast road swing. It was such a dismal performance that Steve Kerr had everybody sit last night, and they lost. No surprise. No surprise. But let's get on into the fun here. Adam, anything you want to call out from Friday night's action? I went to bed just as the 10 o'clock games were tipping off, so I've only looked at box scores, the occasional YouTube highlight, courtesy of you.
No, I don't think anything really stood out. Kevin Love obviously had a great game. That was something that, obviously that news broke during the deeper dive yesterday. And so it wasn't anything that Josh and I had thought about, but I didn't even think about it before the slate locked. But I ended up playing a decent amount of Kevin Love. Last year, though, when they were shorthanded with the guards, they would give Love more minutes alongside. Like, they would play the Mobley, Love, Allen lineup a decent amount. And obviously, Love can do everything when he's out there. So, clearly he got better anyway, or you expected him to get better with Garland and Sexton out. But I do think it's important to keep in mind that Cleveland will do that when they're shorthanded in the backcourt, even though, obviously, it's a different position. You can get more minutes for Love as well.
Geez, I was expecting to see like a 20 and 10 on some efficient shooting. Oh, not expecting to see him leading the team with 10 assists there. He had 10 of the 30 assists from Cleveland. That's a high water mark. Him going 4 of 7 from 3 and 7 of 10 from the field in 23 minutes. I mean, we've seen him do that for, on occasion throughout various matchups, et cetera, if he's just getting hot. But yeah, that's an interesting one. So was there victory laps or no victory laps, considering he did all this in just 23 minutes?
I mean, that's I think still more minutes than I gave him. I just played a decent amount of him, but it didn't matter. Like, gotcha. I got killed on that slate.
Oh no, I wasn't. I mean, I just see everybody. Oh, I wish I had done this, or oh, you should have done that. I saw all the "you're an idiot" or I'm the greatest tweets on this one this morning. I didn't have a lot of context on that either. But let's get on into our slate. I want to remind everybody that you can subscribe to the Stokastic channel. We're up to 82,400 subscribers. We have 4 YouTube channels. Check us out over there on OddsShopper, the Stokastic Fantasy Football channel, and of course our main channel. And then we do have, I can't remember our other one, but we do have 4. We've got a full suite of podcasts out there. Leave some 5-star reviews. Once a week, we comb through those and put everybody in a drawing that left a 5-star review and give away a free week of Stokastic premium content. So that always does help us as well. We have a nice staggered slate. We've got 3 games going up in the 7 o'clock hour, 2 in the 8 o'clock hour, and then 2 after 9 o'clock, 1 at 9, and then 1 at 10. We'll kind of break these down into 3 segments. First game we'll talk about is going to be the Brooklyn Nets in Charlotte, taking on the Hornets. Brooklyn is 5.5-point favorites here. This is a back-to-back for Brooklyn. Kevin Durant led the Nets to victory in his hometown of Washington, D.C. last night. He played 33 minutes. For Charlotte, this is a 3-4. They did play last night. Nobody went over 30 minutes. Important injuries. Of course, Ben Simmons still out with a back injury. Kyrie is out for being an idiot. He has a few more games on that one. LaMelo Ball, close to a return, it sounds like. Who knows? But he's still out with an ankle. And then you've got Martin and Rozier both out. They haven't played in 2 weeks. They're listed as doubtful once again. Adam, take us through here. Kevin Durant and the also-rans.
Yeah, I mean, Durant, once again, is just going to look fantastic. His salary on DraftKings is $300 more expensive than it was yesterday. Certainly not enough to dissuade me from going there without Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. The assist percentage goes up a bit without Simmons. Everything goes up without Irving. Since the start of last season without Irving or James Harden on the floor, 32.8% usage rate for Durant, 28% assist percentage, nearly 1.4 DraftKings points per minute. Still just going to look fantastic here. Right now on DraftKings, we have him projected for 32% ownership, 30% chance of being optimal. All of that checks out. The other, I think, really interesting piece is Nick Claxton at 6,100. Another good game from him yesterday at basically no ownership. Today we have him projected for a lot of ownership at about 26%, 27%. Probably just a function of right now not having anywhere close to the same level of value that we had yesterday. Yesterday, it's made it really difficult to prioritize him, but he plays a lot more minutes without Ben Simmons. Only played 28 minutes yesterday, but that game was a blowout. So the final 7, almost 8 minutes of that game were garbage time. You probably would have seen at least another 4 minutes or so from Claxton. He's a good fantasy producer, right around a fantasy point per minute. So behind Durant, I think he looks like the second best guy here. Then Royce O'Neal, obviously, you can kind of always play. He's playing huge minutes. He's around a 0.7 to 0.75 fantasy point per minute guy. After that, though, you kind of just get into a bunch of cheap options that you can roll the dice with if you want to. Edmund Sumner, only 3,200 on DraftKings, point guard, small forward. So it's easy to get him into lineups. The playing time could be there. He got to 25 minutes yesterday, but 8 of that was garbage time. In the first half, he played 6 minutes. Then to close the half, he played 4 minutes. So, I think on average, there's a good chance you're getting around 22 minutes from Sumner. But if he's playing well, there's certainly a path to more. They do need some scoring here alongside Durant. He's really cheap. Watanabe didn't play a lot in the first half, only played about 8 minutes. But then he played the final 16 or 17 minutes of the game, including garbage time. So he ended up having a solid game. I would be a little bit cautious with his playing time, just given how that first half rotation went. But at the same time, we have seen Watanabe be one of the main pieces off the bench, even when they're healthy. And, certainly can find his way into minutes. Not a great point per minute guy, but a reasonable option. So I think from from a value standpoint, those two are interesting. You do need to keep an eye, though, on the status of Joe Harris and Seth Curry. I haven't seen an update on Curry. I know he was out again yesterday. Harris did play both ends of the back-to-back last time Brooklyn had one, but that doesn't mean he will again today. If one or both of those guys are out, it makes the Sumner Watanabe pieces more appealing. If they're both in, I think they both become a lot riskier.
Yeah, I would expect at least one of them to be in. I kind of think it'll be Curry. It wouldn't shock me if both are in, but that's a good call out there. And you're right. The blowout the blowout run in the fourth quarter there against the Wizards kind of capped Royce O'Neal. And obviously, if it wasn't Kevin Durant playing in his hometown city, I don't think he would have come out there in the fourth quarter. But he still ended up with 33 minutes, so I think he'll be fine.
One other rotation note from Brooklyn yesterday is Cam Thomas was actually the first guy off the bench behind Ed. He came in for Sumner. With Steve Nash, Thomas had basically just been kicked out of the rotation. And then we didn't see Thomas in the rotation in Jacques Vaughn's first game either. But he is a capable fantasy producer. He is a capable scorer. Right now, he's projected for no ownership. We also have Seth Curry and Joe Harris both in right now. If they're both in, then I don't think Cam Thomas should be getting any ownership. But if he's 3,300, if one or both of those guys are out at 3,300, I do like taking some shots at Cam Thomas, especially if Edmund Sumner's getting a lot more ownership.
All right, moving over to the Charlotte side, this one will kind of, we know what to do if everybody's out. That's what we've seen for the last 8 or so games here. Currently, we're projecting Rozier in, Hayward in, and Cody Martin in. Plenty of time to make those adjustments. Otherwise, if everybody's in, nobody's overly exciting in this one. If Rozier is out, then Dennis Smith Jr. still looks reasonable. If obviously, if Rozier's in, that's going to cap Dennis Smith Jr. Similarly, Cody Martin is just kind of a yeah, regardless of whether he's in or not. I have a feeling Hayward is out for this one again. But if everybody's healthy, these teams have now been priced. This team has now been priced up enough that there's nothing overly exciting. But if those three guys are out, in Hayward, Rozier, and Martin, then the prices are a little bit of a discount, not a major one anymore, but a little bit of one. Who do you think of any of those three are going to play tonight?
Yeah, I mean, so like you said, for right now we have them in, and with it being 10 in the morning, I'm fine with that. I do agree with you that my gut is that Hayward probably doesn't play. I don't know. My gut is kind of that none of them play, just because they haven't even been listed as questionable recently. We've just been getting doubtful like days in advance. So it hasn't really seemed like they're very close to returning. I also have no idea. It's not like I've been following practice reports from Charlotte or anything, because I know I'll find out before the game starts if they're playing. But yeah, so for right now, assuming they're in, I agree with you. Like, they all just kind of look fine. If we assume that they're in and not on minutes restrictions, 8K for Terry Rozier is fine. It's not going to stand out. PJ Washington at 5,800 is going to look okay. Nothing special. Same goes for Plumlee at 5,100. His playing time has been a little bit better recently, but that also could just be a function of them being shorthanded. When you have more bodies available, you can get more, PJ Washington at the 5 and fewer combined minutes for Richards and Plumlee potentially. So they all just sort of look pretty neutral, I think, if everybody's in. If you start taking guys out, like if you assume the guys that were out yesterday are out again today, I have no issue going back to Jalen McDaniels at 4,800. He was absolute garbage yesterday. He was in like half of my lineups, did a very good job of ruining my night. But the playing time was still there. I mean, he played 21 and a half minutes, but this is a game that was an absolute blowout. Didn't play any fourth quarter minutes. I would expect him to be playing, low to mid 30s if everybody's out again. He's been about a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy this year. So I'm not going to let yesterday just override everything else that we know about him. Similarly, Kelly Oubre will be the same play as he was yesterday. Streaky shooter, inconsistent shooter, guy that loves to shoot. And if Hayward and Rozier are out, there's nobody stopping him from doing it. So the ceiling will certainly be there. What you get from him, obviously nobody knows, but he will certainly try.
All right, next game we have the New Orleans Pelicans going into Atlanta. New Orleans is playing a 3-4 as well as a back-to-back. Atlanta last played on Wednesday. Atlanta's favored by a bucket here, 233 over under. On the injury front, we have Bogdan Bogdanovic is out again with a knee injury. We have Trae Young, who is questionable with I don't know if it was an eye contusion or he got bonked near the eye and it's an eye bruise. I suspect we will see him in this matchup. And then we've got, let's see, what was the other fun note? In the back-to-back last night, CJ McCollum played 34 minutes. Brandon Ingram played 36. Ingram, of course, coming out of the concussion protocol. He's had multiple concussions, correct, Adam? It feels like every year he ends up in the concussion protocol.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
All the years start to blend together. Did you realize that Durant and Kyrie technically this is their fourth season with Brooklyn? Doesn't feel like it's their fourth season. Like their second. Yes. So time is a construct that means nothing because of the pandemic and various injuries at this point. But take us through the squads here. Start off with New Orleans. Oh, what happened with Zion? I saw he was not in the closing lineup.
I think he was like dehydrated. The speculation I've seen is that he was dehydrated. Apparently at one point in like the second quarter, he had gone off with the trainer and then just simply started like pounding Gatorade. And then late in the fourth, he like kind of did the same thing. So I don't know for sure what it was. I know from Twitter, I wasn't watching the game, but I know from Twitter that with like 3 or 4 minutes left, he basically just motioned to the sideline and then went over to the trainer and never came back in. The speculation I've seen was that he was dehydrated, but I don't know.
Okay, that makes sense because he kind of had an odd rotation there, but it makes sense, with the back-to-back and the Pelicans winning with Golden State not playing all of their starters here. The other interesting one, Larry Nance got a bunch of minutes. I don't think we can really count on that going forward. We do have Herb Jones had missed a couple games. He played heavy minutes in the fourth quarter, 29 overall. I suspect he'll be okay for this one. And then the other note is Joe Val did not play in the fourth quarter. He just played 19 minutes total. This is a little better matchup for him going against Capella. Anything in particular you want to call out with the Pellies?
So for one, obviously we need an injury report here because I have no idea if Zion's playing today with it being a back-to-back and with whatever happened yesterday. you also had, like you said, Jones and Ingram both back from prolonged absences. I assume they're both playing today. I have no idea. So the general rule with the Pels is if Zion's out, everybody gets better. Especially Ingram and McCollum and Joval. If Ingram and Zion were to be out, then clearly McCollum's going to look great, Joval's going to look great. But obviously, we can just worry about that stuff later on when we get an injury report from them. As far as Joval goes, yeah, I do agree that at least now he's going up against actual centers in Clint Capella and Okongwu. Potentially helps him stay on the floor a little bit more. But we have also, in general, just kind of seen Larry Nance stealing minutes from him. I think that is a legitimate concern, at least in the sense of I'm projecting Joval for like 25, 26 minutes now as opposed to 28 to 30. He's still going to have some games where he just plays really well. He goes off, he gets 30 to 32 minutes. But he's only averaging about 26 minutes per game at this point. He's certainly been playing less than that in plenty of games, enough to concern me. So I do think Larry Nance being his backup center is a little bit problematic. Like when you go back to previous seasons, you're talking about guys like Jackson Hayes, Billy Hernan-Gomez, guys that clearly are never going to kick Joval off the floor, or guys that aren't priorities to really get minutes. Now you're in a situation like we've seen with guys like Vooch, with like with Andre Drummond, this is backup, where you have a backup that is going to play. Larry Nance is a good basketball player, and in the rotation that they're currently using, Nance is strictly the backup center, basically. So for Nance to get his minutes, it has to come from Joval, which I think is a little bit risky for Joval's playing time.
All right, over on the Hawks side here, nothing updated since yesterday evening regarding Trae Young. Says after this is courtesy of RotoWorld, says after suffering the eye contusion in Wednesday's come from behind victory, Young said he would be fine, but looks like there's a chance he could miss Sunday's contest if he's sidelined, blah, blah, blah. All right, so let's just assume he is in. We're projecting him in. It's kind of a two-pronged attack here from the backcourt with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. If Young is out, of course, trickle-down effect is major. I don't really feel like rolling the dice on either of the holidays. If Young is out, I would definitely push more things towards Murray. How do you see the Atlanta Hawks tonight?
Yeah, so I'm with you in expecting that Young plays. He left for the locker room early in the third quarter last game. He did come back in the fourth quarter, so I'm guessing he goes, but again, I don't really know. If he's out, then just fire up as much DeJounte Murray as you can get to. He's playing huge minutes this year. He's 9,600. He's been a good fantasy producer, averaging around 1.2. Actually, he's up to 1.3 after last week's game, or the other night's game. 1.3 DraftKings points per minute this year. If you take Young off, it's just going to go up. So Murray is, I think if Young is in, Murray's a reasonable tournament option just based on the fact that he's really good. He's going to play a lot of minutes, and he's just going to have some blow-up games. If Young's out, I think Murray becomes more of a priority. If Young is in, I do prefer him slightly over Murray just because he's been a little bit better fantasy producer. He's playing similar enough minutes. So far this year, 1.36 DraftKings points per minute for Young, 1.29 for Murray, 35% usage rate, 40% assist percentage for Young, 26 and 30 for Murray. So clearly both of these guys are really good. Slight preference to Trae Young, as long as ownership is relatively similar, which it is right now. Beyond that, John Collins at 6,200 is just a price tag that's going to look okay. His usage rate is down to 17% this year. I think that may come up a bit, but playing with DeJounte Murray is certainly going to cut in his usage rate from where it was in the past. He is rebounding well at 16%, so that's good. He's averaging about a fantasy point per minute, likely to give you 33 or 34 minutes. Clint Capella at 5,200. He's been a risky option this year just because we've sort of seen his playing time all over the place. Having Okongwu as a backup certainly isn't great because Okongwu is typically going to get his minutes, but on average you're going to get around 26 minutes from Capella. Some games you're going to get a little bit more, so 5,200 for him looks okay, but really want to get to the guards if I can.
All right, let's hit that like button. Let's 255 of us in here. Let's help celebrate Almost Human taking down the $4 on DK last night for $15,000 with Steven Adams and Kevin Love lineup. Good work for you, Almost
Awesome.
Human.
Congrats.
Very nice. Very nice.
Only Steven Adams and Kevin Love lineup had Jaylen Brown and I think Jalen McDaniels. So that one didn't win.
Sorry. So much for the Jalen's. So rough day for Jalen's yesterday. Definitely. All right, the third game of our early action here, we have Boston taking on New York in the Big Apple. Boston favored by 4, 223.5 over under here. The only injury news is that Marcus Robinson is doubtful with a sore knee. Back-to-backs for both teams, as well as 3 and 4. Tatum played 40 minutes last night, and we had RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle all played 36 or 37 minutes. So a lot of minutes for these guys here. How do you want to approach this game? Take us through the C's first.
So we've seen Jaylen Brown take a step forward this year, excluding last night. He's basically neck and neck with Tatum for playing time lead, usage lead. He's been really good, and you're not getting the same sort of price on him. He was questionable for yesterday's game with an illness. Then he played like shit. I assume he's playing today, but I don't know. But if he does, he's still 8,500 on DraftKings. Shooting guard, small forward is just a pretty appealing combination for him. Pulling about 11% ownership, I think that makes sense. Jason Tatum at $10,000 also, I think, makes sense, getting 13 to 14% ownership. He stepped up and had a massive game yesterday. Both of those guys, you're just certainly happy to get to them. And then the rest of the team, the whole team in general, just kind of looks like a bunch of 10 to 15% owned guys where the salaries are fair. It's a healthy team. Nobody stands out as like a top option on the slate, but everybody just looks reasonably good. Malcolm Brogdon at 4,600, Horford at 5,300, $500 less expensive than he was yesterday, assuming he plays on the back-to-back. Marcus Smart at 5,300 looks fine. I do want to see. So they brought Luke Cornett back into the rotation yesterday. That's not ideal. I had mentioned on the show yesterday that 2 games ago, Cornett essentially wasn't in the rotation, and neither was Vonleh. And if they were to keep doing that, it would just really solidify minutes for Grant Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White. If they're going to give actual backup center minutes to Cornett, you still are going to have games where those guys play more, but it's a little bit riskier. For example, White played 26 minutes yesterday as opposed to 32 a couple of games ago. Brogdon closed, so he got up to 29 minutes, but Smart only played 24. So I don't expect another 30 minutes from Brogdon unless Smart gets in foul trouble or something. But all of the Celtics, I think, just kind of look like solid options.
All right, you're forgetting the remember me aspects here. I mean, Luke Cornett played for the Knicks a million years ago. Remember the Unicornet? And then, of course, you had Noah Vonleh played for like 15 teams. No, that's not true. Ish Smith played for 13 teams. Noah Vonleh played for like 8. The Knicks were one of them. Don't play them. They're only going to curb the upside of our Celtics options. But revenge is in their heart. Remember me is in their heart. Moving on to the Knicks here. What kind of world do we live in where the New York Knicks are not the most dysfunctional team in New York?
Yeah, not even
remotely. Not even close. Like I can't say bad. There's nothing you can make fun of with the Knicks. They're kind of like a normal team at this point.
Yeah,
really how do you feel about their playing time? They're overpaid. Second bananas. They're not quite role players, but they're definitely not stars. How do you feel about the Knickerbockers against the C's?
For the most part, I don't think they're very interesting. One part that does stand out is that Mitchell Robinson got hurt yesterday. Isaiah Hartenstein is $4,400. He's currently projected for 34% ownership. Assuming Robinson's not going to play, I haven't checked to see if that's confirmed or not, but I'm assuming he's not going to play. Hartenstein would look like a great value. It looks like it was knee soreness for Robinson, so I don't know. Haven't seen him officially ruled out, but if he doesn't play, Isaiah Hartenstein is basically a fantasy point per minute guy that would step into a lot more minutes. He's actually averaged more minutes than Robinson this year anyway, coming off the bench. And now those minutes would certainly be available for him. 0.95 DraftKings points per minute. One other potential impact, though, is that once Robinson went out, we saw some Obi Toppin minutes at center. So that does open the door for Julius Randle to play more. One of the issues with Randle this year, in addition to his assist percentage being down as a result of Jalen Brunson, is that his playing time's down. He's only been averaging around 33 minutes per game. But a reason for that is essentially that you have almost all of the center minutes going to Robinson and Hartenstein, and then you have Obi Toppin playing like 15 minutes off the bench. That leaves 33 minutes for Julius Randle. If you take Robinson out of the rotation and you can have Randle / Toppin play the 5, that opens up minutes for both of those guys to exceed what they normally play. So at 7,800, it does make Julius Randle a little bit more interesting than he normally is. Obi Toppin at 3,500, kind of interesting. Right now, pulling like 9% ownership, there's probably going to be better value that opens up, but I do think that if Robinson's out, it's conceivable you get, 20 to 22 minutes from Obi Toppin.
Any other worthwhile notes here for the Knicks? Really doesn't seem to be much unless somebody else gets a random sit.
I'm trying to just like quickly look at what that rotation looked like without Robinson in the second half, because potentially, like if he's out, like it could even potentially open up a little bit for quickly as a result of them playing a little bit smaller. But he didn't play a ton in the second half, so I think he's kind of just still the same play that he normally is. I will reiterate that RJ Barrett is going to start making shots. He actually had a decent game yesterday, but he leads this team he's second on the team in usage. He's shooting 48. He has a true shooting percentage of 48%. That's going to come up. He leads the team in minutes, so I still don't mind getting to Barrett at low ownership.
This team is just crazy with its rotation. I mean, you forget that Derrick Rose is there. Obviously, Evan Fournier kind of with the second unit these days. You've got Cam Reddish still floating around there. Why they ever went after him, who knows? It's an odd team, just an odd team. All right, here's a chance, your first chance. You can get not only 3 free months of Stokastic premium content today, but I'm also going to tell you can get $1,100 in your favor. The first way is the BetMGM risk-free bet that comes along with 2 months of Stokastic Platinum. So you get the 2 months of Stokastic Platinum by subscribing to BetMGM, coming in through the link below us here. You will need to already have a Stokastic account. If you already have a Stokastic account, make sure that you are logged in, and then click on the BetMGM button that appears when you're registering or logging in, and then you can complete the necessary steps with BetMGM. The key things you need to do: 1, you got to deposit at least $10, and after you make your first paid bet and it settles, you will get 2 months of free all access Stokastic premium content. What is the $1,000 bet? Well, that is the $1,000 risk-free bet. That is on your first bet. So you will need to put in $1,000 and then you get a $1,000 bet. If that bet loses, you don't lose your money. You just get free bets to make up for it. So that is a key thing. So that, for any of you that are big ballers, go after that one. Remember, we don't have the no-brainer today. This is the $1,000 risk-free bet, but anybody can get in with just $10. Make a $10 wager. As soon as it settles, following everything below in the link, you will get 2 months of Stokastic premium content for free. Our 8 o'clock games here, Adam, we've got the Oklahoma City Thunder at Milwaukee. Oklahoma last played on Thursday. This is a 3-4 for Milwaukee. It is also a back-to-back. Last night, Giannis, Brook Lopez, and Drew each played between 33 and 34 minutes here. Let's see. That's really all the exciting stuff. Pokusevski's out with the shoulder issue. Chris Middleton's still out with the wrist. Do you think Giannis gets a night off tonight?
Probably not.
They got to go for 9-0, right? They're the last undefeated team. They could go 82-0.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he plays. It's not like it would be shocking if he doesn't. It's Oklahoma City, but it is a home game. It is just, I mean, it's likely he can just go play like 26 minutes and beat the shit out of OKC, and it's a half day off anyway.
I think I wanted to look here real quick. They do not play again until Monday. So their upcoming schedule after today is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So they have everything nicely spaced out. They don't even have a back-to-back through November. They don't have any back-to-backs, it looks like, quickly glancing. So should be a reasonable amount of rest. What do you like after Antetokounmpo, who of course is playing the most minutes we've seen from him in the last 5 years, the most getting the most fantasy points in the last 5 years, and his second best fantasy points per minutes in the last 5 years. I can't remember if it was his first or his second MVP season, was a little bit better than what he was when I checked before the last game, but he's just been absolutely phenomenal. What do you like with the rest of the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, Giannis has been great. If you can get to him, great. He is 12-6 on DraftKings, so only pulling about 10% ownership, but averaging 1.83 DraftKings points per minute so far. Still really like Drew Holiday, 1.25 DraftKings points per minute, about a 26% usage rate, 33% assist percentage. He had started off shooting really, really poorly this year, but that's corrected. And He's back to that 1.25 fantasy points per minute that we expected. He's projected for about 13% ownership at 8,400. That makes sense to me. Brook Lopez getting 17%, Bobby Portis getting 14. Both of those make sense. You've seen a little bit of increased playing time for them as they've been playing more minutes alongside each other. That's just a really good sign. Granted, this is a very small Oklahoma City team, so maybe they back off of that a little bit here. But the last time they had a chance to do that, I think, was against Detroit. They had played Atlanta, where they both played alongside each other a lot. Then they played Detroit, and I thought there was a chance that you would get closer to 50 to 52 minutes combined. They still just ran them alongside each other. So I think there's a good chance here, at least, that you still just see 25, 26 minutes from Portis while Lopez plays 30 to 32, which makes both of them look pretty appealing. Outside of that, outside of those four, I don't think there's too much. Grayson Allen's cheap at 4K. He's somebody that I get way more than I would like to because he's not very good from a fantasy standpoint, at least 0.7 DraftKings points per minute. But if he falls into the lineup here or there, it's certainly fine.
All right. So Oklahoma City, again, they last played on Thursday. Looking at their schedule, they don't play again until Monday. They should lose this one. So hopefully they want to play some of their players. Never going to be a shock with them if they sit out SGA or Giddey or something like that. But Giddey's been back for 2 games. He played 32 minutes in the last game. In his first game back, he played 25 minutes. We have, SGA has been absolutely phenomenal this season, played 35 minutes in his last game, 48 fantasy points. Without Pokusevski, you could see a few extra opportunities going to Lou Dort, perhaps Darius Baisley. This will just get absorbed by the Flotsam and Jetsam that is down the lineup here. Is there anybody that stands out to you besides SGA or Giddey, or do you just want to focus on your analysis for them?
Yeah, I mostly just want to focus on them. The rest of this rotation is just absolute garbage. And if you want to throw darts at people, go for it. But even with Pokusevski out, clearly that opens up minutes. He played 27 minutes last game. He played 31 the game before. So there's a lot of minutes available. The issue is that they've been intentionally sitting guys. Like the two games ago, Muscala and Kenrich Williams didn't play. Last game, Aaron Wiggins didn't play. So I think the most likely scenario with Pokusevski out is that all of those guys play and you still just get pretty flat minutes. Darius Baisley only played 13 last game. I think it's likely he probably gets to 20 or something here. Trey Mann only played 17. He can get into the low 20s. Jalen Williams only played 14. So my point here is that there's a lot of room for players to pick up minutes that they didn't play last game and still be virtually useless DFS options, even with Pokusevski out. So I don't really want to spend too much time trying to figure out who or if anybody from this OKC bench is going to go off in 22 minutes. But I do think SGA is still interesting here. One rotation note from the last game is that they did not stagger his minutes with Josh Giddey. That is not good for SGA. He's still a really good player. He still has a really high ceiling. He is also $9,900. And so far this year, he's now played 90 minutes with Josh Giddey on the floor, 1.27 DraftKings points per minute, 31.1% usage rate, just a 20% assist percentage. That's similar to what we saw last year when he played with Giddey. For comparison, 160 minutes this year without Giddey on the floor, 1.6 DraftKings points per minute, 35.8% usage rate, 34.3% assist percentage. The rates, he still played really well. He's still a really good player. It doesn't matter if he's out there or not from that standpoint. He still can have his big games. 1.3 DraftKings points per minute is still very good. The issue is just that he is being priced for what he's done as a whole this year. And if he's going to be playing the bulk of his minutes alongside Giddey, he doesn't project quite as well. So, that's the concern. That being said, he's getting 4% ownership. At 4% ownership, if you just want to take a shot on his upside, that's fine. Josh Giddey at 7,200 is kind of interesting to me. Only getting 2% ownership right now. We know he's a good fantasy producer. He played 32 minutes last game, like you said. Pretty likely he plays, 32 to 34 here. So I do think he's kind of an interesting tournament option at 7,200.
All righty, let's go on.
1.07 DraftKings points per minute so far this year for Giddey.
Okay, cool. My alarm reminding me to set my EPL lineups. Nice. I'll have to do that while you're busy discussing Houston, which last played on Wednesday. They're going into Minnesota tonight as 8.5 point underdogs, 231.5 over under on this one. This is a back-to-back for Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards each played 39 minutes last night. Rudy Gobert, coming off an illness, played 30 minutes. Our injury list has Jayshawn Tate out with an ankle injury, Bruno Fernando out with the knee injury, and Jabari Smith unlikely to play with an illness. I believe this will be his second missed game, non-COVID related. Talk to us here about a slightly thinned out Houston lineup. Is there anything to look forward to?
I think it's just pretty much more of the same from what we've seen recently. Kevin Porter Jr., 7,600, getting 22% ownership. He leads the team in usage as of last time I looked. I'm double checking now, but he's been around 1.1 DraftKings points per minute. Yeah, 27.4% usage rate, leads the team. 26.3% assist percentage, leads the team. Rebounding at a decent rate for a guard, 9.4%. So he's still going to look good. He's also playing 34, 35 minutes most nights. Şengün getting ownership as well, 6,300. That price tag's slowly coming up, but I think that there's still some upside there. He's averaged 1.26 DraftKings points per minute this year, likely to give you around 28 minutes. So he looks good. Those are the two, I think, priorities for me. $4,400 KJ Martin. He's still been getting pretty solid minutes. He's a 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy. 22% ownership seems a little bit high, but if other value doesn't open up, I think that's fine. Same goes for Eric Gordon. Jalen Green, we've talked about a lot. Like, he's a really high upside guy because he's going to shoot. He has about a 27% usage rate this year. The issue I have with Gordon, or with Green rather, especially when he's getting some ownership, is that he's just doing nothing in the way of peripherals. 6.5% rebounding percentage, 10% assist percentage, 48% true shooting percentage. Probably comes up, but it's not like he's an efficient shooter. So you're basically just playing him, hoping for the nights that he goes out there and scores 40 real points, which is going to happen. But at 10 to 15% ownership, I don't know that I really want to be just hoping tonight's the night.
It's on the other side here. Minnesota been, I guess, is disappointment the right word? It seems to be the right word. They have a good starting lineup. Well, at least 4 of their 5 are pretty solid. They have lost 3 in a row. And it's not like they've been playing stalwarts across the league. Of course, their losses did come to San Antonio, in Phoenix, and then at home against Milwaukee last night. They don't play again until Monday. They face Houston, obviously, because Adam just talked about Houston in this one. I figured the big 3 seem pretty reasonable in Cat, Anthony Edwards, and then would you prefer Rudy Gobert or D'Angelo Russell if we're going to call a big 3 out of this one, or is it a 3 but it's really 4 2/3 people that equal a 3?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much that one. I think of it as a big 2 with Edwards and Towns, and then like a very good 3 and 4 with Gobert and Russell. Or at least should be very good. They haven't played very well so far. I now have $1,000 on them winning more than 45.5 games, or 46, 45.5, 46.5, I don't know.
Is this with a reputable source, or is this a Twitter bet?
It's with Big T.
Okay, there you go.
So
that's a reputable source.
Yeah, it's both. it was Twitter.
Yes.
He wrote me into it on Twitter, backed me into a corner. I couldn't say no. But yeah, so have that. Would really like them to start winning games. This is another team. Keep an eye on the injury report. Coming into yesterday's game, Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert were both questionable. They both played. Now it's a back-to-back. I'm guessing they play. I don't know. If they all play, Towns looks pretty good at 8,900. Edwards certainly has a high ceiling. Shooting guard, small forward, eligible at 8,300 as well. 12% projected ownership. So I like those guys. Gobert is actually pulling some ownership for what feels like the first time this season. I think that probably just speaks to this slate not being quite as deep at center as some others. If you get there, fine. 1.1 DraftKings points per minute, 22% rebounding percentage. Obviously not a high usage guy, but extremely efficient. So all of those guys look pretty solid. I did want to quickly go back to the Houston side because I blanked when we were talking about it and forgot Jabari Smith was out. The KJ Martin ownership makes a bit more sense remembering that. I was really confused why like 24, 26 minutes of KJ Martin was getting 22%. If he's going to play 30 plus, that is more reasonable.
All right.
I think Tari Eason's probably, if you're looking for like a everybody's wrong and loses on their 22% KJ Martin, Tari Eason's probably the pivot.
That is a name I was not expecting to hear, Adam. Has he graced your lineups yet?
Night slate. He almost won me a night slate. He was like 2% owned and had a really good game.
All right. Okay.
Almost
Well,
being
he
scored
does
because I
have
don't win
three
it.
games in the mid-20s. Of course, a bit of their last road swing when most everybody was healthy. He never topped 15 fantasy points. But yeah, there are some moments here. Okay, I can see it. Small forward sometimes, depending on the slate or the site, can be a little tough to fill. So I get you. I get you. Who are we going to listen to? We're going to listen to me, or we're going to listen to Ship My Money? I think we're going to listen to Ship My Money on this one. But if you want to get a great deal from our sponsor, listen to me, because PrizePicks has the offer for you. All right. Daily prop-based contests, no sharks, no optimizers, no mass multi-entries. You can bet player cards up to 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions. You also can choose flex options, meaning if you don't get everything right, you get some or part of your money back, or you actually make money. Their 5-player cards can net you up to 10x your entry fee. You can do cross-sport bets. They have first half, second half contests. They have showdown contests. The only rules are you can't play the same player on the same card more than once, and you got to play players from 2 different teams. Pretty easy. Besides that, what makes it even easier, you come in through the link that we have below, or when you sign up, use the promo code OSMO, and they will get you a free month of Stokastic Platinum. That's 30 days of Stokastic Platinum. You get a $100 deposit bonus match when you sign up as well with your first deposit. You put in 50, they give you 50. You put in 100, they give you 100. You put in 200, they give you 100, because it's a $100 deposit match. And then we've got some easy to use projections over here. So I'm going to drop the link into chat. It's a nice little dashboard that we have here that has PrizePicks and some of the other sites on there. Makes it easy to talk about the different picks and win percentages that we have available for them. They also have fantasy points as part of their contest. Now you need to be careful, because their fantasy points do vary by sport. For football, they follow DraftKings, meaning it's full PPR, but there are no yardage bonuses. For basketball, they follow FanDuel. So you get 3 points for blocks and steals. Very important to understand. So let's look. I'm going to look real quick. Have you run your projections yet, Adam?
No, I haven't.
All right. We will do this. We will look up PrizePicks here. I've got our full information. Let's pick a decent one here. Let's skip the early game. Let's go Karl Anthony Towns. This one's going to be right on the edge, Adam. 9.5 rebounds is the line. We have him for 8.8. Again, he is going against Houston.
What was the line?
9.5. We have him for 8.5. I think our number is a little bit light. And that it takes into account that Rudy Gobert is now with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would take the under if I need to.
All right, let's pick an exciting one here. Let's sort by win expectancy here. Okay. Rudy Gobert, 12.5 rebounds is his line. 14 is our projection. You feeling like taking the over there with the Stifle Tower?
14
for us, 12.5 for them. It's about a 75% win expectancy.
Yeah, I would take the under.
All right. You mean the over? The over.
I thought you said it was 15.5 and we have 14.
No, 12.5.
Oh,
we have 14.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. No. That's okay. That's like, you were told there would be no math today, yet here I am throwing math and probabilities at you. But guys, check that out. It's tons of fun to play over there. They've got college football. They have CSGO, soccer, NHL, NFL first half, NFL full game, NBA first and second half, NFL second half. They've got Xfinity, NASCAR, MMA, Rocket League, League of Legends, and so much more. There's definitely something out there for you. Of course, you can always tick on or slide on over to OddsShopper, our sister site, and you can get projections from there for the various player props as well. Of course, that doesn't have the fantasy points because that's OddsShopper. We have the fantasy points here at Stokastic, but it's lots of fun. Throwing out an interesting one here on college football. Let's see. Let's look for Bo Nix, who is definitely in line for the Heisman race. He's facing the Colorado Buffaloes today. 265.5 for him in his last 4 games. 412 yards, 283 yards, 265. 161 against Stanford. We're throwing that one out. And then 428. I think he's going to get over 265. So you guys can check that out. You can get all the college football that you need and more coming up at 11 o'clock. That will be with Matt Gajewski and Ben Raza on this very channel. Adam, 2 more games to go here before we slide on out of here. We have, we've got San Antonio at Denver. This is a 3-4 for San Antonio. Last night, Trey Jones played 33 minutes. Keldon Johnson played 34 minutes. Denver last played on Thursday. Denver has Zeke Nnaji is out. Questionable tonight. You've got Romeo Langford and Isaiah Roby with a head injury and an illness, and then Bones Highland dealing with a sore hip, Ish Smith dealing with a sore calf. My guess is we don't see Ish. We may not see Highland, but who knows what's going to happen here with the San Antonio side. San Antonio double-digit underdogs heading into Denver. I guess we start off here with Nikola Jokic. He's got help this year. He's got Porter Jr. with him. He's got a healthy-ish Jamal Murray. How are you feeling about the 2-time defending MVP?
He's expensive. Like, DraftKings has done a really good job. Say what you want about a lot of their other pricing this year. They've done a really good job of pricing up the top tier guys so that they're not just glaringly mispriced and you just have to jam in a bunch of value to get to them. If you get to Jokic, great. He's getting 3% ownership, so I don't think he's going to end up being much of a priority, at least the way things look right now. He's $900 less expensive than Giannis, who's just going to project better than him. He's center only, so the opportunity cost is pretty high to getting to him. Clearly, you're never wrong. It's just you're probably going to find that you like your lineups more without him than with him, but 1.5 DraftKings points per minute so far this year, 24.5% usage rate, 38% assist percentage, 19% rebounding percentage, still producing really well, but I think he's just kind of difficult to get to here.
All right. What do you like of the ancillary nuggets here?
Yeah, I like Jamal Murray still. His price tag did jump $600 since his last game, but he played 33 minutes in that game. So in the last couple, we've seen 31 from Murray. We've seen 33 from Murray. He's pretty much getting back to normal playing time. He's at 0.92 DraftKings points per minute this season with a 26.8% usage rate. He's pulling 15% ownership. This is somebody that we know can just take over games offensively and really, really put up big games. So I like that ownership. The rest of these guys, they're risky, but there is still a ceiling for guys like Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Porter coming in at 6,600, Gordon at 6K. Last slate, I really, really liked Porter. Naturally, Gordon went off. But Michael Porter Jr., does rebound well. 12.8% rebounding percentage is the best on the team outside of the centers. Gordon is right behind him at 11.1%. You have a 22.5% usage rate for Porter, 21% for Gordon. These guys are both similar just in that if they're playing well, they can get a few more minutes. If this game happened to be competitive, you would expect more minutes as well. Denver's actually been in a lot of blowouts this year, but they're just kind of low-owned tournament flyer type guys. If the closest thing to a priority from this team, I think, is Jamal Murray.
All right. We're kind of bearing the lead here with the Spurs, but none of them are appealing by any stretch of the imagination. We kind of really need someone to sit. They've been parsing out the minutes relatively equally. They're not in, an incredible hurry to win games. Denver does have or is allowing 112 points per 100 possessions, so that's in the bottom 10 of the league for defensive efficiency. But everyone's kind of, if most of the people are healthy here, they're appropriately priced. I mean, if we look at FanDuel, you've got Jakob Poeltl and Devin Vassell coming up as the best point per dollar options, but Poeltl, we have to give up a center spot. That's no fun to do on most slates. On the other side, on DraftKings, you've got Devin Vassell looking decent, and he has shooting guard and small forward eligibility, which does allow you to get him into a lot of places, but he's not going to need to play heavy minutes, nor has Pop really led him this season, and he's 6,700. We really need him to get up around 40 fantasy points for that. We're projecting him for 33 as his median outcome. That doesn't feel great. And then you've got Zach Collins and Jakob Poeltl as the next two best point per dollar options. They're both center only. Makes it really hard to come to any of the Spurs here. Any call-outs at all that you have here? Should we just wrap it up with our final game?
Yeah, not really. I think this is one of the more difficult teams to get to just because of, one, the pricing, and then two, you just have this weird spot where guys are coming back from injuries and all of that. Devin Vassell came off the bench yesterday, played 25 minutes. Maybe he starts today, maybe he doesn't, but I'm not very confident that we're just getting 33 or 34 minutes from Vassell on the second leg of a back-to-back after missing 4 games with a knee injury and only playing 25 minutes yesterday. At 6,700, I really need to know I can get those minutes, and I just don't feel confident in that. From a point-per-minute standpoint, the 2 best guys on this team by far are Jakob Poeltl at 1.18 and Keldon Johnson at 1.19. Johnson, I think, is correctly priced at 7,400, probably plays 33, 34 minutes. He's getting 10% ownership. It's fine to me. Jakob Poeltl, 6,900 at center, getting 6%. Again, fine to me. Probably plays 28 or 29 minutes. But I think overall, one of the least appealing teams on the slate.
All righty. Final game of the night. This is a back-to-back. Same 2 teams squaring off in Phoenix again. We've seen a few different teams do back-to-backs in the same city, but separate things by a day here, but this is back-to-back. Last night, Portland snuck out a victory, 108-106 against Phoenix. All it took was for them to get Damian Lillard out of the way, to get Anthony Simons out of the way, and they could get the real ballers in there. We saw Justice Winslow start for the first time this season. He played a season high, 32 minutes. My guess is he does not play on this back-to-back. That's just my thought. He skipped the last back-to-back that Denver had this year. Of course, he did down the stretch play in a couple middle of the season play in a couple back-to-backs last year. But remember, he ended up getting hurt multiple times. It seems like much like Otto Porter, anytime he goes over his secret limit or minutes limit, which in his case is about 31, 32, he tends to hurt himself. I don't think he's going to play tonight. I kind of think Simmons will be back. Simons, God damn it. Every time. I keep thinking in my head, Simon says, and then I say Simmons. Just, yeah. Send me to the old folks home.
We figured out who runs the Brandon Katz YouTube account.
Who?
You.
Me?
So he was in here the other day just saying how Simmons is a great play, but typing Simmons repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly.
That's my split personality. There we go. So in any event, I don't think Winslow plays. I think Anthony actually is going to tonight. We did not see many minutes from Nurk last night, but they got the win. So who cares? What do you want to do with the Blazers?
So yeah, the Winslow question is the Simons question is huge. And then beyond that, the Winslow question is huge because I'm with you in that I don't really feel confident that Winslow plays tonight. I was right on his minutes yesterday. Josh and I were arguing about that prior to the deeper dive. Josh thought that he was going to break if he played more than 26 minutes. I thought he was going to play more. So I got that right. But yeah, it's huge because if Anthony Simons plays, then it's not really an interesting team. Simons himself would look okay, I guess, at 7,800. But if he's out, then there is value here. It's just a matter of where exactly is it coming from. You also, potentially have Lillard back. We have him in right now. So there's just a lot of moving parts here that makes it really, really difficult to talk about. But basically, if Lillard's out, Simons is in. It's a bump for Simons. It's a bump for Nurkic, who didn't play a lot of minutes last night for some reason. They went to Eubanks a lot. But it's a bump for those guys. If Lillard and Simons are out and Winslow's in, then Winslow is running point again at 4,900. He'd be a decent value option. If all 3 of those guys are out, you probably get either Nas Little or Keon Johnson in the starting lineup. Little's 3,100, Johnson's 3,700. Either one would look like a decent value if they are short all 3 of those guys. And Jeremy Grant's just going to be shooting at will in that case.
All right. Ooh, I've got a new one. Anthony Simon Cowell.
Okay.
That starts to get me there, and it's got to get an S in there somehow. We'll see. All right, we'll see. This is a disaster. Adam is starting to have an out-of-body experience here because he's like, all right, I'm at 55 minutes with EMac. My limit is 57 before I spontaneously combust, meaning I'm saying that for Adam. I could go on for hours, and Adam knows that. What else, if anything, from Phoenix? Do you think anybody is out tonight? I guess Cam Johnson.
He left on crutches last night, so I would guess he's not playing tonight. Torrey Craig started the second half in his place, played the entire third quarter, didn't play in the fourth quarter outside of garbage time. I assume they would start Craig again assuming Johnson's out. I don't think it has a huge fantasy impact. One spot that does quietly have a fantasy impact is Cameron Payne missed yesterday's game. Last year, Paul averaged about 34.5 minutes in games that Cameron Payne did not play. He averaged about 32.5 in games that Cameron Payne did play. Played 34 minutes yesterday. I do think you can project a couple extra minutes above Paul's season average if Cameron Payne is out, whereas I would go to the season average if Payne is in. Obviously, Devin Booker always looks fine. DeAndre Ayton always looks fine. So yeah, just, it's the normal stuff with Phoenix, except for Cameron Johnson being out, and then keep an eye on Cameron Payne.
All right, you get a little note there to producer Mike, see what we're going to do. We got 5 minutes left. We will either do option A or option B. We'll let him tell me, and then we will get on out of here because, of course, we have the college football DFS show coming up after us. They will take you from 11 o'clock until a lock. So we are good there. Do we want to do this, Mike, real quick? All right. So we're going to do the Stokastic Hall of Fame because that is something that is always fun to do. We like to celebrate your wins with everybody. So all you've got to do if you want to be a part of the Stokastic Hall of Fame is all you got to do is go to stokastic.com/avatar, download the Stokastic profile pic, upload that into your DFS avatar on your site of choice, and then tweet your wins to Stokastic HOF. They don't have to be gigantic wins, but if you finish top 3 in any contest with at least 5,000 people playing in it, that's top 3, not chopping a whole way top 3 for ties, but first, second, or third, then you get 30 days of Stokastic Premium. Celebrating some of our wins here. Oh, Alex Baker, the boss man, said, I was acknowledging all of you good people that came to us, and we changed the name from Osmo to Stokastic, and then all you guys had to start winning. I got to remind everybody who the boss man is. Alex Baker, $20,000 there. The NFL Showdown, 4-point stance. Hat tip to him. Only 3 lineups in there, and he ended up winning. I thought he was a mass multi-entry player. Nice job, boss man. Pardon?
This is what happens when you get married.
This is what happens. Well, he also won the next night, $75,000, a 2-way tie here. Looks like it's NFL. He says, this is why it's important to project things out to the second decimal point. He won by 1/100th of a point, a 2-way tie there with Cowboy for Life, bringing in $75,000. Coming up next, we've got Brian Walton says, thanks, Lofty D and Matt Gajeski. Listen to your morning breakdown, and I appreciate the more call from Matt. Can't thank you guys enough. Turned $33 into $3,000. That is pretty awesome. Andrew D says, not sure how Garland was just 3% owned, but we'll take those. He even tagged you there, Ship My Money, and Greg Ehrenberg. Turned a couple entries into the $1.20 max into $1,200. That is some serious ROI. Vin comes in, just says simply, Osmo DFS and Stokastic Hall of Fame, another good night. Made $2,000 on Halloween in the spooky shot. Rounding it out here, we have 024-631 says, had my biggest DFS night ever. Nearly took down the 4-point play on Friday. Thanks to Adam, Greg, Josh, Tom, Rinpack, and Seanzon. $4,000. That's a nice hit there. And then we wrap it up with Jordan Weber, who says, awesome stuff, Stokastic HOF, Floppy D, Matt Gajeski. Tools pointed me to Dallas Goddard as captain. Took home $750. We like to see that. A win is a win. And he's Sixers fan, 911. That's right, a Sixers fan calling for help, clearly, because that team is a bit of a dumpster fire right now. But with that, we're going to get on out of here. In 3 minutes, you're going to get Ben Raza and Matt Gajeski coming up here, talking college football up until 12 o'clock. Lock. Thank you to Adam Ship My Money Scherer. You can find him on Twitter at Ship My Money DFS. I am at EMac DFS, and it is Stokastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.